Hello and welcome to my weekly video blog, and today I'm going to talk about surprising ways brain fog can affect you in the perimenopause and the menopause. If you like my tips and advice, then please subscribe and remember to hit the bell icon so you can be notified of all my new videos. So brain fog, it's such a common symptom and most people will experience it at some point along the journey. But it can be very disconcerting. It can be quite frightening, especially the first time that it happens. But it's not necessarily just about having a foggy brain. That situation can affect us in all sorts of different ways. So I thought today we would look at the more surprising effects of brain fog and what you can do to help yourself. So the main causes, very often it's a combination, so it's not just one thing that does it. We know that falling estrogen can affect brain function, so that's probably one of the primary causes, but it can also be physical stress. If you are physically tired, if you are fatigued, if you've had poor sleep, if you're dehydrated. Low blood sugars can do it too. Poor diet. And this is a really important one because remember, our nutritional needs go sky high as all the hormonal changes occur. And that means our body needs more of everything. And if we don't have the basics, then our brains are going to be affected as well. And one of the things that we are so bad at doing is multitasking. The more things that we are having to think about on a daily basis when all this is going on means that our thinking can get really muddled and cloudy. So multitasking is one of the things that I do think should be banned in the perimenopause and menopause, but there we go. So what sort of symptoms can you experience? So for a lot of you've told me you struggle to form words, and you feel one of the surprising things is that you feel you're talking gibberish. So you're talking to somebody, they might be just looking at you in quite a strange way because what you're thinking isn't coming out in what you're saying. So you can say quite a few things that just don't sound quite right, or it may well be that you say a word and again your brain is thinking one thing and your mouth is actually saying something completely different. It could be that you're losing your train of thought. So you start off, you know in your mind exactly what you're going to say, and halfway through the sentence you're like, oh, I don't know where I am. And I know for me that several of these situations were definitely me. I'd be talking quite happily, and then it just felt like somebody had pulled a plug on my brain. There was nothing there. It was totally empty. And you're just like, what do you do? And especially if you're talking to people that you don't know, it can be extremely embarrassing and it makes you feel really, really silly. It can be too that you just feel spaced out or you're not quite there, and that's quite a weird one. And again, for those of you that have been watching for a while, my classic situation was when I sort of came to one morning trying to fit a big bottle of fabric conditioner into the fridge, and my first thought wasn't, why am I doing this? My first thought was, why doesn't it fit? And then eventually you come to, and it was like, oh no, this actually goes under the sink. So there can be funny situations, but again, if you're at work, if you're in a serious situation and you end up doing something like that, it can be really quite disconcerting and very unsettling. It could be that you're always second guessing yourself. You've switched the lights off, you've locked the front door, you're halfway down the path, and then you're like, did I switch the lights off? Did I switch the cooker off? Have I locked the door? So you end up having to go through all the process all over again. And it's a really annoying one because apart from anything, you're wondering what's going on, why you keep thinking this, but also that it's wasting your time if you have to keep running around doing everything 2 or 3 times. It might just be that you're thinking slowly. It could be that you were always snappy with answers and you got things really quickly, and now you find that you're taking 2 or 3 times as long, and sometimes you have a word in your head, you know what the word is, and again, the minute you go to speak it, you've completely forgotten what it is. It's that thing, it's on the tip of your tongue. And it can also be that you're just forgetting simple words, not necessarily something technical or something not quite so common, but it can be really simple words, like I'm going, where am I going? Oh, I'm going home, that's right. So it can be all of these things at one time or another. And yes, it's one of these horrible situations that you just wonder what on earth is happening with your mind and your brain. So the things to do here, really important, is dehydration. Dehydration will affect brain function really, really quickly. And your brain actually shrinks. I was reading up about that. So when you're dehydrated, there is a physical shrinking of your brain, and that's going to affect your thinking. So loads of plain water on a daily basis. Look at your diet. Are you getting enough of everything to keep your brain going? It's the most amazing machine if you think about it, and it needs lots of power. So again, eating little and often. If your blood sugars dip, that's going to affect your brain and your thinking as well. So make sure that you're eating little and often, and good nutrients for the brain. So it's things like your magnesium, calcium, your fish oils are really important. B vitamins are really important. So just, have a little look at your diet and make sure you're getting enough of everything. If you feel you're letting yourself down a little bit there, a really good, even if you're not over 50, and over 50, women's multivit can be a really handy thing just to add to your daily diet. Make sure you get plenty of sleep. And I know this is a difficult one because poor sleep can be a big issue, but if you're tired, you're not going to be thinking straight the next day. Learn to relax. Are you doing your 30 minutes me time a day just to allow everything to relax? When it happens, if you're in a situation where, like me, someone pulled the plug on my brain, is to just do that slow, deep breathing, and that will get everything back. If you start to panic that you've lost your train of thought, that makes everything worse, because you tighten up, your flight or fight kicks in, and then everything just goes out the window. So I used to find that sort of making a joke about it and just saying, oh, there's everything's gone blank, but service will be back in a minute or two. You relax, you have a smile, and that just seems to get your brain ticking over again. You can look at the herb Ginkgo biloba. The common name for this is the memory tree. So this has been used for a very, very long time to help improve memory. You can also look at combination supplements that have things like magnesium and zinc in them, because magnesium and zinc both help with cognitive function. And if you're getting a little bit stressed about everything, then you can get combinations of magnesium, zinc, and calming herbs such as lemon balm. So these are nice ones, again, just to help you on a daily basis. When do you need to go to the doctor about this? It's a difficult one, because so many of you tell me that you really do think that you're coming down with dementia and Alzheimer's, and that can be really, really frightening, when in fact all it is just this whole scenario going on. But if you are really concerned about it, if it's happening more and more, if your loved ones are actually pointing things out to you, then please just go and speak to your doctor. The other thing you can do, there's lots of places that have what's called memory clinics, and you can actually go, you can make an appointment there to see someone. You can do cognitive tests online, but I don't know how accurate they are. So just be a little bit wary unless you're taking a test that's on one of the sort of approved websites. So I hope you found this one helpful. If any of you have had any experience of this, or What sort of symptoms did you experience when you got the brain fog? What did you do to help yourself? Please share them. I know so many of you love to hear other stories, and I love to read everything as well. So until then, have an absolutely lovely week, and I'll see you later.